Hello, welcome again to my channel. My name is Yir'e. Every week I'm going to make a new videos about history topic. If you're a student in school or you're just interested about history topic, then this channel might be for you. And today we are going to talk about the birth of Isaac. Yes, probably this is the final series about Abraham. In this story, Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90 years old. When God promised to Abraham about that he will bless Abraham with the descendant, with a son, Abraham was 75. So it took about 25 years here until finally God fulfilled the promise. Now, Sarah was 90 years old and then miraculously, she got pregnant. Yes, at the very old age. Now, pause for a moment. It has been a journey for this old couple, Abraham and Sarah. When God promised to them about they will be having a child, in fact, Abraham and also Sarah, they too somehow failed to remain faithful to God, failed to trust God. There was a time in a moment that they made a mistake by trying to help God. Now, do you think God needs to be helped? By trying to accelerate the process of the promise is being fulfilled. How is that? Well, several chapters ago, we talked about it, that Sarah had an idea to let Hagar, her maidservant, to have a child with her husband, Abraham, with the hope that somehow the child that Hagar gave birth to will be the son, will be adopted by Abraham and also Sarah. But then again, it turned out to be a bad idea, and then somehow, well, it's going to be complicated. Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is like Abraham and Sarah, they try to do like what is right according to their eyes, not according to God's eyes. Now, what happened next is the consequences is, of course, Ishmael was born. But yet, still, God blessed Ishmael because somehow Ishmael is the son of Abraham. But it is not through Ishmael that God will bless the nation, but through Isaac. Sarah gave birth to Isaac when she was 90 years old. And then the birth of Isaac, it was being described as the joyful day for the household, for the whole household, for Sarah, Abraham, and all the servants. And then it attract laughter, okay? And I can imagine everybody was laughing out of joy. Sarah was laughing, and then baby Isaac was laughing, and all of the servants, they were all laughing. Even Abraham, he also laughing. Now they are laughing with joy. In fact, name is a very important. Sarah and Abraham named the baby Isaac because Isaac means he laughed. Yes, he laughed. And I can imagine, probably this is not written in the Bible, but then again, I can imagine the scene, Abraham was just was so happy, Isaac, my boy, finally, you're so adorable. Look at you, look at the way you smile, look at the way you're laughing, it's so cute. Isaac! And then Isaac is just kind of Daddy! And then Isaac! And then Daddy! Wait, Isaac's still a baby, so he's not supposed to be able to talk. Okay, my bad. But yeah, you get what I mean. Okay, basically, Abraham was so excited, Sarah was excited, Isaac was excited, everybody's excited, except that part that, Isaac can talk. Okay, yet, not yet. Now, as Isaac grew up, of course, Isaac became the favorite son of Abraham and Sarah. Now, they were about to throw a celebration, or I would say some kind of a party, maybe some kind of a birthday party at a time, okay, for Isaac to celebrate about God's promise that being fulfilled in Isaac, because these are very happy and proud parents, okay, and they want to throw a party for their son, for their favorite son, which is Isaac, the son that they've been waiting for. Do you remember Ishmael? Ishmael was born years before. At this moment, Ishmael is way older than Isaac. Probably, if we can make a rough guess, probably Ishmael is about 10 or 12 years old when Isaac was born. Now, of course, as a big brother, they grew up all together, okay, in the household of Abraham. Now, it came to pass that somehow Ishmael started to kind of bullying his little brother out of what? Out of jealousy. Okay, out of jealousy, and then of course it's a kind of complicated family matters because somehow you remember the story, right? Ishmael's mother is Hagar, and Hagar is the maidservant of Sarah, and Sarah is the one who kind of gave Hagar to Abraham so they can have a child, and then it's a complicated thing, okay? Now what happens next is Sarah start to get restless. For several times, Sarah caught Hagar's son, which is Ishmael, picking up on his boy, okay, bullying and making fun of Isaac and so on, and she became anxious about it, and then she worried that maybe one day in the future this kind of bad behavior will become worse and worse and worse, and then eventually Ishmael will harm Isaac, and then it will endanger Isaac's future. So Sarah told Abraham, her husband, somehow, could you please somehow expel Hagar and her son, and your son, from Hagar? Okay? Pause for a moment. Isn't Sarah's idea to have Hagar and Abraham to have a child? Anyway, so Abraham, with a heavy heart, he sent away Hagar and also his Ishmael. Abraham gave him enough provisions for the journey and also water. So Hagar was being sent away from the household on the way journey back to Egypt. So the story goes, as they were traveling, they were lost in the desert. They were lost in the wilderness. And then they're running out of water, they're running out of food. And then at this moment, Ishmael become very, very weak and very, very sick. And he was about to die. And Hagar could not take it any longer, and then Hagar was so sad, and then he was so desperate, somehow she felt helpless for not being able to help Ishmael, her son at that time, which is almost dying of thirst. And she prayed, and God hears. As the name itself, Ishmael means God hears. God hears the cry of Hagar, and then somehow and miraculously God leads Hagar to the nearby well so she could get the water for Ishmael. And because of that one, God rescued Ishmael and also Hagar. Well, fast forward the story a little bit. No matter what, Ishmael is the son of Abraham. So no matter what, God still fulfilled his promise to Abraham. When Ishmael grew up, he became a great, powerful man. And then he became the ancestor of a nation. And God blessed him, and God blessed Ishmael, the descendant. So it's one of the evidence that God is faithful to his promise no matter what. Several years later, God told Abraham that Abraham must sacrifice his son, his one and only son, which is Isaac. Oh, that break his heart so bad. Abraham, he was no, my son, my one and only son, Isaac, the one that I've been waiting for 25 years. The one that, give me joy, the one that give me laughters and everything, the treasure of my heart. Now I need to surrender it back to God. I need to sacrifice my one and only child. I don't know with you guys, but if I'm Abraham, I will pretending not listening of anything. I'll probably maybe that was not God, maybe it's someone else. But that's not what happened with Abraham. And this is what makes Abraham awesome. Abraham, he obeys God. He listened to God immediately without doubt, and then he immediately somehow, well, not instantly sacrifice Isaac, but then again, of course, in the next morning, he told Sarah somehow well, Isaac and I, we are going to travel to the mountain and then go hiking and then sacrifice to God, and then offering a sacrifice to God to honor him. Well, Abraham did not mention it was Isaac is the one who become the sacrifice, because do you think Sarah the mother will say yes to that? I'm pretty sure no. Okay, so yeah, probably no. Okay, so Abraham told his son Isaac, which is at this moment Isaac is probably around preteens. Isaac is about almost teenager. And then he told his son, we're going to the Mount Moriah, that's the name of the mountain, and we're going to go hiking. We're going to sacrifice something to God to give him honor. Come with me. Oh, by the way, here, take some of the loads, okay? Because daddy is an old man, daddy is 100 years old. Here, carry the wood, okay? Carry the wood on your back. You're still young and you're still strong, yeah? And then of course, okay dad, no problem. Isaac, he was still young, he was still full of energy. He carried with him the wood and also the backpacks and so on, and the water, and On the way up to the mountain, Isaac, well, he started to realize that something's missing here. Dad, we're going to sacrifice something to God, right? I got the wood here on my back. You're asking me to carry the wood, and then the altar is probably somewhere up there in the mountain, right? But where is the sacrifice animal? Do you forgot about it, Dad? Do you want me to go back all the way to the camp and then fetch one of the lamb and then sacrifice it to God? And Abraham's answer is, God will provide, my son. God will provide. Now, if you want to dramatize this scene, like probably at this moment, Abraham will try not to look into the eye of Isaac. He will probably try to hide his emotion because, yeah, because Abraham, the one who need to be sacrificed here is his son, his one and only son Isaac. And then up they go to Mount Moriah on top of the mountain. They prepare the altar, okay? They stack up the stones and everything. And everything was set up and then they were about to sacrifice. And the moment of truth, Abraham told Isaac that the one need to be sacrificed is not the animal, but Isaac. Now, here's the thing. Did I mention Isaac? He was probably around almost teenager, okay? And then Abraham, he was 100 years old. The Bible did not mention, but do you think Isaac can run at any time? Do you think Isaac can resist Abraham when Abraham said well, you know what, my son, I'm going to sacrifice you. No, Dad, I will not going to be sacrificed. And then Isaac can at any time, he can run, right? He can run and then he is way more fast. I mean, he's way faster than his dad. Like his dad is just 100 years old. He can outrun easily. But that's not what happened, isn't it? It's safe to assume that Isaac, he willingly let himself to become the sacrifice. So he lay down on the altar and then somehow the wood were being stacked, the fire was about to be set up, and then somehow, then Abraham, I forgot to mention, he carried with him a dagger, okay, some kind of a blade, a small blade to sacrifice an animal. And now just before Abraham put Isaac to death with the dagger, God stopped Abraham. God was very impressed with Abraham's faith and with Abraham's obedience. Now at that moment, somehow, of course, Isaac was safe, and then Abraham did not sacrifice Isaac. And probably that was the most awkward father and son moment for them because somehow, yeah, it was very dramatic. It was very tense, and then all of a sudden it's just what a relief, right? It turned out to be God stopped Abraham from sacrificing Isaac. So, and of course, both of them, they were crying. And then at this moment, it was a happy ending. God was impressed with Abraham's obedience and faith. And then his obedience and also his faith become an example for all of us. Okay? And his faith and obedience become the example for all of us. And therefore, God fulfilled his promise. And that moment, Abraham named that particular place as Jehovah Yir'e. Or probably you're more familiar with the terms Jehovah Jireh, okay? Yeah. Anyway, so Jehovah Jireh, which just means God provides. God provides. God provides what? God provides the sacrifice, okay? Now, continue a little bit the story, okay? Right after that moment, not far from that altar, there was this ram that got its horn stuck on the bush, okay? And then, did I say bush? Not bus, okay? Bushes, okay? And then Abraham took that ram and then Abraham sacrificed the ram instead of Isaac. The ram is being sacrificed as an offering to God, to honor God. Okay? Yeah. So in the end of the story, it's a happy ending story. Abraham is happy because he got his sons back, and then Isaac, well, he's happy that somehow he is happy, very happy, okay, because he doesn't have to die. And then God is happy because somehow God sees how Abraham is obey and also how Abraham is faithful to him. And probably not the ram, okay? The only sad part is the ram. The ram is not happy, okay? Why me? In conclusion, so the story of Abraham sacrifice Isaac here, it become a foreshadow. What is foreshadow? Foreshadow is that kind of trailer that you watch before you watch the main movie, okay? That perhaps it gives you a clue, it gives you a spoiler of what would happen in the movie, okay, in the big main giant movie, okay. So it's a give a foreshadow for who? For the ancient nations of Israel, which is the descendants of Abraham later on, and then it gives a sneak preview of what will happen on the exact mountain, on the exact place, Mount Moriah, 2,000 years later after Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac. Did you remember like the name of that place? The name of that place, the Mount Moriah, Abraham renamed it as the Jehovah Jireh, which is God provides. Here's the cool thing. 2,000 years later, something's important happened. In that same mountain, God provided the sacrifice to save humanity from death, to save humanity from the evil once and for all. And that sacrifice is God's one and only Son, Jesus. You see how it's get connected? Abraham was about to sacrifice his one and only son, Isaac. But now here, God is the one who sacrificed his one and only son, Jesus. Yeah? There's a difference there. There's a contrast there. Isaac still lived because someone or something replaced his position as the one who need to be sacrificed. Now for us, it was Jesus, the one who died on the cross. Now, there's also connection there, okay? When Isaac carries the wood all the way up into the Mount Moriah, what did Jesus carry on his back on the way up into the hill? A wooden cross. You see the resemblance there? Another resemblance, not far from the altar when Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, there was this ram that got its horn stuck on the bushes. Now, what did Jesus wear on his head as he was being crucified? A crown made out of a thorn. Alright, I have to stop right there. Actually, it's very interesting kind of like topic to talk with, but then again, maybe some next times, okay? So, alright, that's it from me today, and I'll see you guys next time. God bless you guys all. Bye-bye.